Naomi is back, and she is ready to uncover the truth behind the new mysteries surrounding herself and her powers. Thus, the majestic creative team behind this critically acclaimed Eisner-nominated series from 2019 has returned to answer and to explore the questions about Naomi and her place within the DC universe. Now, it's been a minute or so since we've gotten a story with Naomi McDuffie starring in her own book, yet sometimes greatness takes a while to come out. And so when a character like Naomi is in the hands of a fantastic creative team, then that wait is fully warranted. Because let me tell y'all something, folks, this book, much like the issues from season 1, is fucking awesome. And it legitimately brought me back to 2019, before the dark times, before the Empire, where I was introduced to her character, and where I immediately fell in love with her story and just the whole concept surrounding her world and book. Now, following her debut back when Wonder Comics was a thing, a lot's changed for Naomi. She's discovered her true heritage, her being a resident from an alternate Earth. She's confronted Zumbado, the now dictator of her alternate homeworld, and she became a member of Young Justice and a member of the Justice League. Essentially, she's become a celebrity. And hell, she even has her own show on the CW, which apparently is bad, but that's neither here nor there. Therefore, with all that said and done, Michael Bendis is coming, and DavidFWalker primarily focus on the character's new normal, which, you know, includes her being on the Justice League whilst continuing her therapy and struggling with her relationship with her parents. And both writers are able to continue that hopeful youthfulness from the first season, yet are able to still ground her as well. Because given Naomi being now a public figure and a newly established superhero, she has to be more careful. She has to be more responsible. And so obviously when it comes to a teenager learning about responsibility, it creates tension between family members, especially between Naomi and her alien Radiant father, Greg. Another thing that I really need to mention is that the character Naomi feels real all throughout. Together, both Bendis and Walker have created a character who is as human as any of her everyman predecessors, from Peter Parker to Miles Morales, and so on so. And to be honest, I'm not sure if that's because co-writer DavidFWalker is there to help curb some of Bendis' infamous dialogue patterns, or if it's just because Naomi fits well into Bendis' whole teen hero wheelhouse. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is that this comic has a different vibe when compared to other Bendis books. When it comes to the supporting cast, D is probably the best supporting character throughout the world of Naomi. This guy is awesome. He's a haunted warrior who's devoted his life to protecting the girl, and I just love D's complicated mentorship of Naomi, along with his relationship with Greg, with D being a Thanagarian, and the fact that both Randians and Thanagarians are historically known to be bitter towards each other. It plays out well between these two very different father figures for Naomi. And when it comes to the book's art, Jamal Campbell is back, baby. Being a complete penciler, inker, and colorist all in one puts him in a rare position to be fully in control of that final product. And the end results here are breathtaking to behold. The artwork remains absolutely fantastic, with vibrant colors that help this comic stand out from typical DC fare. And unlike in other comics like Young Justice or Justice League, Campbell gets Naomi 100% in this book, from hairstyles to facial nuances that capture a teenage hero. Overall, though Bendis' run with DC has largely been hit or miss, Naomi remains to be some of his strongest work to date. For whatever reason, he gets Naomi, and he has her voice perfectly displayed. There's an authenticity to Naomi that is often missing from other works. Yet here, it's 100% on point. Despite everything else, it's good to have the one survivor from the Wonder Comics line back in action. Naomi Season 2, Issue number 1 gets a 9 out of 10. Three weeks after her confrontation with Black Adam, and after a bunch of folks from the sleepy town of Port Oswego spreading gossip regarding their newly established superhero, we pick up with Naomi as she's attending a session with her therapist. Now, the therapist tells Naomi about the rumors spreading around Port Oswego regarding Naomi fighting Black Adam to the death. But she immediately shuts those rumors down, calling it bullshit, because if she really went toe-to-toe with Black Adam in a deathmatch, she'd totally be freaking dead. Instead, someone from her birth world attacked Black Adam, so he came to ask her about it, with Superman in tow, just in case Black Adam came to start something, because, you know, he could be an asshole. Which of course we saw this happen in the Justice League book. Naomi then begins opening up to the therapist about everything that she's gone through in the past few months. From learning that she got her superpowers from her birth parents, who died trying to send her to Earth, all the way to how she became a member of the Justice League. which she admits isn't really that much, yet it feels like a lot to her. And to the therapist's point, she tells her, yeah, that's a lot to process, especially for someone your age. Now, upon noticing the depressed look on her face, the therapist changes the topic and instead asks Naomi about her superpowers, wondering if by any chance they've changed the way that she sees the world. To which Naomi replies that, since she can now fly, she reckons it has. The therapist then wonders about Naomi's parents, but that triggers her to go on a rant about how ever since she got her powers, it seems to have driven a wedge between her family, and she feels like her dad is a completely different person now, which causes the therapist to ask how so and in what way. Therefore, we are given a flashback where we see Naomi standing in the yard behind her house with her dad Greg, who tells her to show him what she's got, with regards to her powers. Basically, the two of them are testing things out, like how one would take their daughter out for driving lessons. However, as she gets ready, her dad begins to rush her, telling her to power up. And so because she's under the pressure, she quickly transforms, which lets out an energy blast that burns the leaves all around her, even as far as knocking her dad back. Naomi then immediately apologizes, but her dad tries to explain to her that he just wanted to see on what she could do. But yo, girl, if you're gonna flare up like that, you need to remember about proper space, because if you're not careful, you could take someone's face off with that power. And this is when he begins to yell at her, telling her that it's not okay, and you really need to work on your shit here. And he even asks if Superman ever mentioned something about this power. But with sarcasm, Naomi lets her dad know that Superman was polite to her, unlike how her dad is right now. Therefore, this causes Greg to shout, berating Naomi that she really has to get her powers under control. But this causes her to shout, which results in another huge energy blast to go off. So yeah, folks, what we're basically witnessing here is some father-daughter tension. Switching back to the present, Naomi's therapist assures her that things have changed, and that because of it, her dad is probably just confused. He's basically adjusting to Naomi becoming an adult person, which in and of itself can be a very difficult switch for any parent. And perhaps her being a part of the Justice League is affecting him more so, which might be why he's taking it out on her via lashing. Afterwards, Naomi heads over to Dee's garage, where she vents to him about how she might be done with therapy because it just isn't for her. And the reason why is because you have to be completely honest when in therapy, and she really can't be, because she can't tell the therapist about her dad's secret, that he's Iranian, or when it comes to Dee's secret about being a Thanagarian. Naomi complains that, if she tells her therapist the truth, the doctor would obviously go to the FBI or Checkmate, because Bendis is writing Checkmate, because if the roles were reversed, Naomi would as well, which is why she has to lie, but she hates lying. Plus, she's pretty bad at it. However, Dee tells her that she needs to work her stuff out with the therapist, and that it's good for her. Dee then tells her to go home and get some rest, and he'll come by after supper so that they can train together and throw around the Thanagarian death axe, which of course upon hearing this, immediately excites Naomi, because Thanagarian death axes are pretty fucking dope. While en route to her home, Naomi is zoned out by the vision of her home world, but is quickly brought back to reality thanks to her friend Annabelle, who is accompanying her. Later on, both Naomi and Annabelle have dinner with Naomi's parents, but things are pretty awkward at the moment, for both of her parents are on their phones, rather than talking about basic dinner topics. Eventually, Naomi breaks the awkward silence, asking her mom about Dee, asking, wasn't he supposed to come over after dinner? But her mother lets her know that she texted him, but no response. Settling the conversation about Dee makes Naomi's dad very uncomfortable, which causes him to leave the room. After dinner, Naomi transforms and flies to Dee's garage in order to find out, where he is and what happened to him. Eventually, after checking the place out, Naomi lands on the ground and begins to investigate inside the garage. And to her surprise, she finds that the place is completely trashed. But not only that, she finds a secret passage in the wall, where she spots a dropped coin. But it's not a coin, Naomi. It's a medallion with a Thanagarian symbol on it. From there, she tries talking into it to see if she can communicate with Dee. But as she's continuing to sneak around, she is caught off guard by a familiar voice, which scares the shit out of her. And as she turns around, she finds that the voice belongs to her father, who is right behind her, armed with a Iranian pistol. And without a second's thought, Naomi demands her father tell her on what's going on. And that, folks, was the end of Naomi Season 2, Issue number 1. And thank you guys for checking out my video, as it truly means the world to me. And as always, I am your majestic sayer over at SuperCliff, and if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top tier comics happening in the comic book world. Now tell me, What are your thoughts and opinions on this issue? Are you guys excited for Naomi Season 2? Let me know down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace.